Hey, good afternoon. I'm Aisha Goins. This is Chandler. Introduce yourself, Chandler.
Good afternoon. I am Chandler Cooks, Chair of CEIC Education Committee, core member of CEIC, and the Dean for Cannabis Business School's Pathway to Ownership Program.
I'm Aisha Goins, Chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion of the Subcommittee of CAC, Commissioner of the Cannabis Advisory Commission, and CEO, President, and owner of Black Joy Consulting, Executive Director of Cannabis Equity and Inclusion Community, and I have a program called Pathway to Ownership. And the reason why I started this informal, super informal conversation is because we were in the application process of the Consumption Lounge, and we have been working so hard to ensure that we had people that were social equity applicants in this process. I didn't want the moment to pass us by and then we didn't document the work that we have put in, because no one's really documenting our story. You know, if we didn't do it ourselves.
Yeah, that's funny to think that nobody is documenting our story, because it's really history. It's really trailblazing for real.
I agree. And so our producer, Ron Baker Media, thought that we should give some little history regarding the bill. I want to just remind you we're at Brewitt Brewitt Coffee Shop on the corner of 6th and Bridger, and we're live here. We appreciate the coffee shop owners for allowing us to be here. So a little history about the Consumption Lounge bill. The bill was brought in 2017. In Nevada, we only go into legislative session every other year, which is so retarded. It's neither here nor there, but it's very aggravating. So they brought the bill in 2017, and when it was a part of the omnibus bill, which was the governor's bill to make the Cannabis Compliance Board. The idea wasn't really vetted out. Assemblyman Yeager brought that bill, and it wasn't vetted out, so AB 533 created the Cannabis Compliance Board, and a part of their task was to study the importance of social equity in the marketplace. And the idea was that if the study showed that there wasn't social equity, that there could be a place for it in the future licensing. And so in 2019, so in 2020, so it's 2018 was the last time we're in legislation. So it's 2020, Assemblyman Yeager brought the bill again, Consumption Lounge bill, and in the bill was social equity language, and that is language that CEIC was very integral in making sure that it showed up for those disenfranchised by the war on drugs. One of the things that we wanted to make sure, which is unlike what happened in some other states, is that it specifically was made available to those persons who had cannabis offenses. And you know, that's been one of the pitfalls of bringing in diversity into the cannabis space and not really targeting those persons who were most harmed, right? I think that both could be accomplished, but I do think that there is no way possible to right the harms of people who have lost generations of their freedom, just offering opportunities to the marketplace, right? Or even to water that down with diversity.
Yeah, and the wealth gap is too far gone. Like even with an opportunity offered, you would have to, really have the finances to be able to even grasp the opportunity. So yeah, the offering the opportunity is great and it's appreciated, but really funding and I think that's real reparation and that's real equity is money. That's what talks.
I agree. I find myself thinking more and more about how I'm rubbing my eyebrow because I'm really thinking this now as I'm saying it. I find myself thinking more and more about how do we fund social equity and then how does that look in longevity and then what does equity really mean in the larger scope. Like I could say, how do we fund the programs? But then I think it even goes further because those most harmed by the war on drugs, that trauma about, that war is still happening, by the way. The trauma of the families and the generations of families. How do we add some rights to that? And it's funny you use the word reparations because I'm always thinking about how they don't want to offer us reparations. They don't want to offer the ancestors of the persons who were enslaved reparations. But then also, it doesn't surprise me that there's always small conversations as it relates to social equity and investing in that because they would consider that reparations because it was black and brown. It's still the same people that were harmed. And so it's unfortunate, but I keep hope alive, and I think that as we keep working and we keep showing up, that something's going to change. I have to believe in that something's going to change, which brings me actually to we're in the voting season. And if you want change, you have to actively pursue change. And voting is the best way to do that. And I think that the people that are voting don't really understand how important their vote. Like we always say, this is the most important election of the year. They say that every year, right? Every voting this is the most important. Well, the truth, there's so much truth in that. Every election is the most important election of our lifetime because every single vote could change how our life shows up. And I wanted to kind of do that as a timeline as it relates to cannabis. Okay? So social equity is a great place to start. Because this is a point where most people who are cannabis users or even cannabis just understand, have some kind of information. This is a pivotal point for most people. They understand social equity. So here's how your vote matters to social equity. Because we're always talking about your vote matters to you, and people don't take the time to identify what to you means. So if you take social equity, I'm going to dial it back as it relates to the politicians and them running for office right now and how that could change. So Assemblyman Yeager, I'm going to start here. So Governor Sisolak, when he was brought into office, part of his initiative was to make sure that the cannabis businesses were more diverse. He said that actually in his speech. What that said to the state was, this is something that we know would happen and we can hold the governor accountable to. Well, the governor has a couple of bills, and because he has a couple of bills in legislation, we knew that he would bring the bill, but the governor is not legislating the bill, right? That's not the governor's job. And so Assemblyman Yeager right now is running for office, but Assemblyman Yeager took that bill as the legislator on that bill. So he was the legislator presenting the governor's bill. And in that bill, which was AB 533, the Cannabis Compliance Board was established. And in that, there was a directive to have diversity and social equity in that bill it's written. The next legislative session, they brought the bill back to include consumption lounges, and had not the committee, Assembly is over the Judiciary Committee, and the Judiciary Committee, Assembly Judiciary, and the Judiciary Committee passed that bill unanimously. And so all of those persons who were in that committee, if they hadn't been voted on, then that bill wouldn't have passed in a committee. And then that bill also passed unanimously in the Senate and also in the Assembly. And had not all of those persons been seated the way they were seated, it would not have passed. And that's why your vote matters. Because if we are not voting for people who are interested in having social equity, then it wouldn't happen. But I'm going to go even further than that. Executive Director Tyler Climans, who's not in an elected seat, he's appointed by the governor of the state of Nevada. And because he's appointed, he continues the directive of the governor, which is to establish social equity in the marketplace. So if you're not voting for the governor, we probably wouldn't have equity. And if you're not voting for a governor who's interested in equity, then you probably won't have it either. So this, when we're talking about why does your vote matter, these are the places where you have to be considering, how does my vote look all the way through? If you're not voting for the persons who are going to be interested in the issues that matter to you, whatever those issues are, because for me, I am a women's rights issue. I have a lot of women's rights issues. I'm concerned about child care. I'm concerned about access to health care. I'm concerned about ensuring that our health care is broadened, early detection. So these are all of the concerns that I have. So as I'm looking at my candidates, I'm looking at who's going to be voting on bills and language that is in accordance to those issues. Because if I'm not focused on that, then my issues won't be addressed. And so that's why we say this is the most important election of your life, because every single election is the most important election of your life, especially in this state, because when laws are being changed, they're being changed specifically for your life and how you live here. So for example, one of the things you told me recently that I didn't know was that rainwater was illegal. Collecting rainwater was illegal. And so I started researching, who the hell had a bill that said collecting rainwater is illegal? Because every single law, every single regulation, every code, it all started from some politician that decided that this is the way it should go. And I'm concerned at who thought collecting rainwater was illegal. It's just absurd. But that's how your vote matters. And so I wanted to just kind of dive in on that, because we are in voting season and we're educating voters consistently. Not only the way we educate voters over at CIC, we're more about, hey, you want this to change, you need to show up and make sure it changes. That's kind of what we say. You want this shit to change, you can change it. You got to show up to make it change. And the people who work with us, they've seen it change. So they have a new understanding and they're inspired by government now differently. Would you say that?
Yeah, I would definitely say that, because it's not ambiguous anymore. Like we just, you come as you are, at the end of the day, the elected officials are representatives of you and your community. So you are the community. When you think of community, that it is you and everyone around you. So whatever you have a thought of, even if, it may not be in agreement with your neighbor, you still are the community. And it's up to you to hold your elected officials accountable. And part of that is you showing up, voting, and making sure that when those elected officials are out in the community or are speaking or addressing issues, you're there to voice your opinions, and you're not just letting things go by. You making sure that you're active. It's a civic duty. As Americans, you just part of the whole process is you being active and you out there being a part of the process. So I think at CIC, what we've done is really just told them, be as you are. Like, you don't have to be politically correct. You don't have to come a certain way. You're respected as the person you are as an American. So come voice your opinion and just make sure you're active. If you are going to voice your opinion and it may have certain disdain, make sure that you're following up by doing the work, by being in the community and understanding other people's views and how you can come with alignment. And I think we do a great job at CIC doing that.
I think so too. One of the things you touched on that I always chuckle to myself is how we really have created a space for people to come as they are. Like, we don't ask people to change, and I think that's the part of government that people have just been afraid of, is that they can't be who they are, they won't be accepted. And we really have done a good job of just changing and telling people, nah, come on, let's do this. We're gonna change it up. And then also supporting and cheering on when they just show up. When they show up just the way they are, really being supportive of that. That is, I will say, the CEIC, Cannabis Equity and Inclusion Community, they've done a great job of ensuring that we create a safe space. And as the executive director, I'm a little biased, but lately I have really been struggling. I shouldn't be rubbing my head on the video, but lately I've been struggling with how fast we've been growing. And even when I tell people our numbers, I'm like, oh yeah, we're about 220 members deep. We have about 175 paid members. I have a core staff of 15, and then I have 4 staffers. When I'm sharing that with people, I have to remember that I'm not talking abstractly, that's us, right? And one of the newest emotions that I've been feeling is fear. I don't feel a lot of fear, but because you all have grown so fast, and even in your growth, you're growing. Even in our growth, you all are growing. And I'm watching and trying to prepare a space and prepare opportunities and position you and raise the bar higher, which challenges me more. I realize that growth is inevitable, but then also that you all are taking on your own personalities and your own ideas, and you're feeding into your own hopes and your own dreams, and that's something more than I expected. And loosely, I ain't had no expectations. So, that's what happens when you don't have no expectations. You show up like this, but there's so many things going on in the org that I don't even have to be accountable to, or I don't have to touch. It's such a great feeling to know that I'm imparting a legacy that I didn't even intend to be a legacy. And I just appreciate y'all. I know I say that all the time, but I don't ever want to be away from how I feel right in this moment. The awe that I have of you all and how you show up for yourself every day. And I guess that's also one of the things that our members get is when you're a part of this team, we don't just support you, but we kind of provide a home and a community, and we try to show up for each other. You're an extension of us, right? And these fools will fight too. I'm a little concerned. I'm pondering on that too. But we're gonna move into the next topic because I could start crying. So, and the reason why I could start crying is because we just submitted 5 social equity applicants to the consumption lounge round.
Yeah, that really deserves like a huge like celebration. Like we need a parade, like a CIC parade. Like that is huge. Like when I was helping the applicants the other day, and at the end of before I went home, I was just sitting there thinking like, we're really making history. Like really making history that is it's going to be like the foundation for what our whole country is going to be based off of. Like they're going to look at Nevada and they're going to look at programs like what we're doing and the success from it. Like, and God willing that our applicants get chosen and they're successful with their business. And I was just thinking like, after those 16 weeks of that class, seeing them, come to class every Tuesday and Thursday, really asking questions, really being engaged and doing the research. And at the end, I truly didn't believe that, it was going to be as real as it is. Like we're going to be sitting there filling out the application and having the funding to actually pay for that application. Like that's huge, like huge. And for us to have 7 qualified and 5 out of the 7 we're able to do that for, that's even bigger. Like it's I'm like speechless because it's really history, and being a part of it, I guess the appreciation is different. You just keep moving along. You just go to the next thing because, there's still more work to be done. But like just looking back and, thinking about it, it does sort of bring a tear to your eye because you're a trailblazer, like, and you're really helping people build, a pathway that can be real generational wealth for, their family for generations to come, really changing their whole perspective on, their lives. We were coming in thinking they were just going to learn some things, and now here they are with the potential to actually be an owner, and bring in great wealth. It's amazing to think of, and to think that we really did that. Like, oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, agreed. I couldn't have said it better myself. I left yesterday fussing at you, actually, and I do want to just our producers giving us cues. I do want to say that I'm so proud of you because I know this was a huge undertaking for you, and I'm sure at some time as you were like, I don't know what the hell Coach is doing, but okay. But what I appreciate about you and Ron and Asia and Ashley is that you just trust the process. And if I couldn't ask anything more from my team, I would ask that. Not do as I do or do as I say, but trust the process. Because everything I do and everything I say ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what the hell I'm doing half the time either. But I believe enough, right? I believe in I believe in where we're going. I believe in the result. And you guys consistently trust the process. And I couldn't ask for anything other than that. But congratulations to you, because you did all this. It was all you did all the work. I'm just so proud of Chandler because Chandler is the dean, and I think people just, when you call yourself the dean, I don't think they consider how much work that is. And And then I tell them too, because they be like, Coach, blah, blah, blah. I be like, what the hell you calling me for? Call Chandler. But as the Dean of Students over at Pathway to Ownership, what Chandler does is he runs the program. He follows up with the participants. He makes sure that they do their homework, that they show up. He also has to dismiss the people that don't show up. He holds everybody accountable, including me. He manages the syllabus and ensures that the participants are getting all the information that they need to be successful. On top of that, there are programming that also goes along with that he's in charge of, that he has to write and he has to create, including because we are in the consumption lounge process and the education at Pathway to Ownership, although the program is 16 weeks, the information that goes with the program continues consistently, as any school does. And so what Chandler has been challenged to do is do outreach, do workshops. And he has created the workshops itself, created all the documentation, all of the information that went out, including facilitating the workshop. And that's a lot of work. And I don't think people understand the responsibility that is. And so I appreciate you. I hope you feel appreciated, but I appreciate you. And it was a huge undertaking. I wasn't concerned if you could do it or not, so I'm not gonna say I didn't know you could do it. I knew you could do it. But I was concerned if you knew you could do it. I was worried that, I was concerned you didn't believe in yourself enough to do it, but I knew that you could do it. And I'm really proud of the outcome. And the outcome of that is you have 5 applicants that went to the application process, including yourself. And I want you to, we had a little, I want to address something. I'm only addressing it because it's relevant to this conversation, but, I don't expect people to like me all the time because I don't like people all the time. And I don't expect people to believe in the things that I'm doing because it's a hard thing to believe in things that you don't know or you can't see. And I'm doing a lot of things that have never been done before and a lot of things that people can't project the outcome to. And I know that just makes a lot of people skeptical. But what I do want to say is there has never been a time that I haven't had my community's best interest in mind. Not one time. And I wouldn't do anything if it wouldn't benefit my community, I wouldn't do it. Now that don't mean that I shouldn't get paid. I absolutely should get paid. Because nobody should work for free. That's just stupid. Because it takes money to pay bills. It takes money to live.
Money to work.
So, if anybody thinks that I should be doing this for free, there's a problem with you and your belief system. However, I'm not looking to get rich. I'm looking for my org to be rich because I need the money to do the work. But personally, I'm not looking to be rich. I live in low-income housing and I don't own a car. You feel what I'm saying? So, But I'm saying that to say, recently somebody, said some not nice things about me and the community on public record, no less. And I just want to say that, it's difficult enough to do this work and to wake up inspired by the community and the work. And that person and no other person will steal my joy or create a space for me not to be inspired by my community. And so I want to make sure that everybody else that's watching also understands, including this one sitting right in front of me. I don't need y'all out there fighting my battles for me. I appreciate that you love me and that you love the org and that you love the people in the org. But just love me by being great. You don't have to love me by fighting battles for me. Just love me by being great. Bless you, baby. So, saying that to say, one of the things that we had to do as at the Cannabis Advisory Commission in the subcommittees was talk about social equity. I am the social equity chair, social equity diversity chair, and in that, there's 7 of us, and we were hard pressed with trying to create giving advice to the CCB on what we believed would solidify equity. And it wasn't, we had like 4 meetings, and those meetings were like 3 hours long, and that information had to be dictated and then sent to the CCB, and the CCB reviewed it. And it was because of that advice that they decided that the social equity would show up in the regulations the way it did. I am very happy with the results. I know that people want me to not be happy, but it's hard not to be happy with the results when they were intentional of having a transparent process and having everyone's input. Everyone's input, even to the point where at one point, there was a place where they were saying you could sell blunt wrappers at the consumption lounge, and that came off the floor. And I was irritated as hell about that. But that's how much of input the community had on what went on in this process. So the outcome is based on a collective of people and their ideas of what they thought would be the fairest way that this could happen. Okay? And quite frankly, could it have been better? Maybe. But I don't really know where. Even if I said, oh, well, having to have that $200,000 is an obstacle, I would lean in and say it's not, because the whole damn building, the whole process, they're estimating is $1.2 million. So if you can't come up with $200,000, the larger problem is you can't come up with $200,000. So I think that this has been outside of just paying the $1.2 million, right? If I said what could be better, give the people the money. That could be better. But outside of that, I think it was a good job. But I also want to point out that that there are people who aren't social equity qualified and they would like to be. And I want to just have you tell a little bit of your story. And because Chandler is a social equity applicant and he is one of the people that put in an application. And I want you to kind of tell your story and what makes you specifically a social equity applicant.
Yeah, so I was born here in Las Vegas, 89106, right off of Martin Luther King and Owens. So that's considered a disproportionately impacted area. When I grew up, it was a lot of gangs. It was a lot. And speaking of voting, I think this was George Bush with No Child Left Behind. Because of that, I was able to go to another school and went to Cadwallader, the middle school, way over in Centennial Hills before any of that area was developed, and being bused right from Charles R. West. So even though I still lived in that area, I ended up moving to Louisiana and still was in a disproportionately impacted area. It was in Tallulah, Louisiana, 30 miles south of Lake Providence, Louisiana. Lake Providence is the poorest town in America. It has been rated the poorest town since the late 80s. And if you've ever been, you would understand why. And Tallulah was pretty similar to that. So, living in areas where there's a lot of blight. My high school, literally less than 300 feet away from my high school, was a state penitentiary. There were three penitentiaries in my small town, 2 of them privately owned, and partly owned by the sheriff. So jail was big down there. I went to jail for cannabis, when I was in college. It was my senior year. I was studying I was studying computer information systems and marketing. There was a drug bust, and my room was raided. I was arrested for cultivation of marijuana, and having to sit in a jail in Louisiana, those detention centers for weeks it was rough. It really was, and it's a time that I'll remember for the rest of my life. So part of being a social equity applicant is living in that disproportionately impacted area, which I've lived in my entire life, which I currently live in today. Having that cannabis arrest, that's not my first arrest. I was arrested, of course, for the cultivation, and in Louisiana, that was felony charges. It was tough. I had to change my major to criminal justice and political science and represent myself in court. And by the grace of God, I beat that charge and prevailed. And I was also arrested in Texas for cannabis, just possession of half an ounce. And I had to sit in jail for about 24 hours. And even in Louisiana, I was arrested again for probation violations because I did consume marijuana while I was on probation. I was a young college kid. It was just something I did. I grew it. It was really a part of my life. So, having to face jail multiple times just for growing it and for using it, I'm truly impacted. So, yeah, that's how I'm qualified as a social equity applicant. Because I've been to jail, I've lived in the area. I've got plenty of family who've been to jail for cannabis, and everyone I grew up with. I just think there's not too many friends I have left that haven't seen the grave or the penitentiary. So this opportunity really, it is an opportunity that I appreciate. It allows me to change my life. I didn't think I was going to ever own a cannabis establishment. I've loved weed, but having this opportunity to be an owner it's phenomenal. And even though it's a lottery or random number generator, I still got faith. That's one thing that I think that I'm just full of, and that is faith to the fullest. Size of a mustard seed, that's all you need, and mine is it's limitless. So I want to thank you, Coach, because I didn't think I would ever fail, and I see you doing the work. Not from the outside. You don't let us, see you sweating. I know you're sweating, but you hold it well, and you just keep pushing. And I'm just grateful to be around someone who can lead me and can make me a better man and just put me in opportunity to help my family and my community. And thank you.
You ain't supposed to be making me cry. I don't sweat a lot, but I sure cry a lot. Ooh. I just appreciate you stepping up. I remember, and thank you for sharing your story. And I know it's hard sometimes to, let people into places that I know you hold close to you. But I don't want you to be embarrassed by your past, ever. Okay? And I think that is, that's the intent of imprisonment. It's not just the imprisonment of your body, it's the imprisonment of your mind. And I don't want you to, don't live there, don't have shame, because you don't have to be ashamed that the system was set up to hold you down. We just keep breaking those ideologies and that systemic mindset. And I want you to tell your story more, not less. Okay. Don't have shame in that. None of us should have shame in where we came from, because look where we are now. And it was all for our making, good and bad. But we have 5 applicants that went into the consumption lounge round. And to be honest, when we started this, I was like, I told all of the people, oh, now listen to this. This is how crazy I am. This is good. I said, if you qualify as a social equity applicant, I promise you, I will find the money for you to get in the application process.
Yeah, you said it. You said that. And I was like, oh, okay.
And everybody looked at me. And I looked back at him and I said it again. And I said, listen to me. If you are a qualified social equity applicant, I promise you, I will find the money for you to get in to the application round. And I just thank the God that I serve, he did not make me a liar. Now, I called everybody I know and some people I don't like, and I asked them for money because my pride mattered less. Y'all success mattered more. And when I say I called all the people, I digged way deep. I called all the people. But it don't matter, we got the money and everybody is in. And that's a success. I was talking to Congressman Horsford last night, because you know I'm crazy. I told him I wanted congressional recognition for this. I said, I want congressional recognition that I got 5 applicants into the application process. And he was like, do you know what? Do you know what you just did? You just made millionaires out of people. And I was like, well, they ain't got no application yet. You know what I'm saying? License ain't there yet, but I can appreciate a congressman that gets behind you and appreciates your work and your efforts. And so, you know, Congressman Horsford is also running for re-election. So we would ask that you would be so inclined to vote for him as well. But now what? What do we do? Now we just wait.
Yeah, now it's a waiting game. Everyone's got their applications in. They'll close on Thursday, and hopefully we'll hear something within a month, I would assume. I hope.
I don't know. We'll see. It's been stressful.
Yeah, it has been. But we done passed that finish line now. There's so much more work to be done.
Now he sound like me.
Right, yeah, it's already the 26th, and applications for the next cohort open on the 1st. So be prepared for that. There's a lot more work to be done.
The 1st of December?
November.
Oh, crap. Really?
November 1st, and they close December 11th.
Wait, what? What are we talking about? Our cohort? The application starts on the 1st? You know, that's next week. Lord have mercy. But we're not starting until January.
We're not starting until January.
Okay,
The
got
application
it.
is open for about 40 days, and then...
Okay. Ooh. We just go to the next thing. Notice how I'm like, it starts when? And then also, we have, this is a good time to say this. We are doing a partnership with MJ BizCon, and we're going to be doing a business showcase. And so we want to make sure that we want the people that are in our cohort to be a part of the showcase, but we also want to open the opportunity to those persons who also have business ideas. And we want to just kind of do a little display for you all. And so we'll put that out in the next couple of days so that you can get with Chandler and Ron and they can vet out your applications and stuff. But yeah, we are doing a showcase. We think that that's in the best interest of, you know, the businesses that are out there. We like to call legacy marketplace. And there's nobody in the nation actually doing this. No one is creating a space to showcase new business opportunities because everybody's afraid of that like gray area. And I'm not afraid of it. I don't, you know what I'm saying? And guess what? I do need to say this. I'm not afraid of it, and my state has backed me up on this. My city has backed me up, and my county has backed me up. So I'm not afraid because I have support. Not that I'm just randomly not afraid. They recognize whenever I say, oh, you know what, this is so good. I've never thought of this, right? But whenever I say, I don't like this, they go, Aisha don't like that. We're not going to do that no more.
Power.
I think it's respect. I don't think it's power. I think it's respect. People respect the work. They respect my love for the community. I have a history of saying what I mean and meaning what I say, right? And when you have a history of loving your people and being intentional and showing up, then people can trust that and they invest in that. It's not arbitrary by any means. It's because I've been in this work in my community for years. When even people didn't even know my name, I was doing the work. I was showing up. There was a period of time in my life, I don't tell people this often, but now I don't drive now, but I can afford to Uber. But there was a period of time in my life where I was showing up at events and I was taking the bus because my community mattered that much to me. I would be in the rain, taking the bus to be at an event to support somebody because I wanted to be in the space where the people were. I wanted to be of service. I wanted to know the things I didn't know. I was one of the people when Sarah Ann Knight Petty, her refrigerator broke, and I was the executive assistant to Frank Hawkins at the time. And I was the one who went to Miss Petty's house and sat with her until the refrigerator man came and changed out her refrigerator. So I have a history of working where people don't even know. And I have a history of doing stuff right now that people don't know that I've done. Because I don't do things for glory. I do things because I have been blessed to serve. Serving in the manner that I do is a gift. I don't expect everybody to serve in the way that I serve. I expect people to show up, but I don't expect everyone to have the ability to serve the way I do. This is a gift. It's a gift for me to be able to love on my community in the way that I do. But I said that to say, the reason why we're able to do this showcase and bring legacy marketplaces and highlight them is because I know the state's not going to be knocking on my door. The city's not going to be trying to pull our receipts. The county is not sending no one to search because they know that I'm going to do it with integrity. They know that I'm going to take in consideration what compliance means, what it looks like, what the gray area is so that they can't be mad and then I can't get caught, right? Because all of that stuff matters. And so we're going to do this showcase and we're inviting the community at large to be a part of the showcase. Now, you got to be a member of CEIC. That's our one stickler. You got to be a member. And the membership ain't expensive.
$25 a year. You got it.
But it says you're with us. And I don't think that's the thing that people don't understand. If you can't just say you with us, then you ain't with us. It's pretty simple. You either with us or you're not.
$25 a show it.
25. So as we're wrapping up, I just want to make a couple announcements. First, I want to say that we have started a community calendar. Ron Baker Media Productions is in charge of the community calendar. And if you haven't seen it, you should really take a look at it because Ron literally has all of the events that's going on in the community on this calendar. It's kind of dope. And we're going to send it out to our members, make sure that they have it. But if you are looking for a community calendar, you don't know what's going on, you can go to CEICNV.org, Cannabis Equity Inclusion Community, Nevada.org, and check the calendar out. If you want to submit something to the calendar, you submit it to Ron, R-O-N, at ceicnv.org. It's pretty simple. The second announcement that I want to make, or the second information I think that you should have, is open applications for our Pathway to Ownership cohort is November 1st. And the last thing I will say is, if you're missing any information, it's because you're not a part of our mailing list. And our email list is pretty powerful. I always brag about this, so I'm gonna brag to you too. So we have an email list of close to 600 people, and we have a 47% average open rate. That is so huge. And so if you're trying to access people and you're trying to get information out, my suggestion is to join our mailing list, and everything, just kind of goes back to the website. But this specific conversation is actually from Black Joy Consulting. And this, I'm using this platform because I think that there's a different place to have conversations about CEIC, not just in the cannabis space. And so Black Joy Consulting is my firm. And if you want to know more about me and what I do and all the works that I have going on, I don't have like a huge bio on my website, but I have the things that I've done, and you can go to blackjoyclub.com. That's blackjoyclub.com. It's funny because when I tell people about my website, they're like, it's not Aisha Lawrence. Like, no, it's not Aisha Goins. Why did I think it was Aisha Goins? I don't know. But I love, my business is Black Joy Consulting, and I really just love that name. I think it's kind of dope. I think it says the work that I really do was, my original logo. This is the logo that I use, but my real logo is the Sankova symbol, because that's really, I think it embodies who I am and what I do. And so anyway, I'll offer you the opportunity to go to ceicnv.org or blackjoyclub.com. And do we have any other dates?
Yeah, just put in your applications November 1st.
Yeah, November 1st. Oh, and the CEIC meeting is first Tuesday of the month.
We're going dark in December.
And we're going dark in, ooh, thank you, Lord.
Going dark in
We're
December.
going dark in December. Lord, I praise you.
In November 8th, make sure you vote before then or on that day.
Facts. All right, well, that's it. I'm closing. I think we've done all the things and said all the things. See you next month.